Some graves are meant to be forgotten, but in Black Hollow, one of them remembers you. The town of Black Hollow had always been a place of whispers. Nestled deep in the Maine woods, it was the kind of town where the fog clung to the ground like a sickness, and the trees seemed to lean in too close, as if listening for secrets. It was here, in the crumbling Black Hollow cemetery, that Sarah Wren made her grim discovery. Sarah was the town's librarian, a quiet woman with a sharp mind and a fascination for the macabre. She had spent years researching the legend of Agatha Blackwood, a woman who had been hanged for witchcraft in 1783. The locals spoke of her in hushed tones: a monster, a curse, a thing that should never be named. But Sarah didn't believe in witches, not until that October evening when she saw the glow. The grave was easy to find. It was the only one in the cemetery with no name, just a crude carving of a twisted tree. The earth around it was cracked and blackened, as if something had burned beneath it. And then she saw it, a faint, pulsing green light seeping up from the soil. Sarah's breath hitched. She knelt, her fingers brushing the dirt. It was warm, too warm. And then, beneath her palm, something moved. The ground shuddered. A low, guttural sound rose from the graver sound, like laughter, but wrong. Too deep, too hungry. Sarah scrambled back, her heart pounding. The green glow intensified, casting eerie shadows across the tombstones. And then, from the depths of the grave, a voice whispered, "You woke me." Tommy Harker was the first to disappear. He had been playing in the woods near the cemetery, his laughter echoing through the trees. His mother had called him home for dinner, but he never came. They found his backpack the next morning, his lunchbox still inside. The sandwich was untouched, the apple was rotten, its flesh black and writhing with maggots, and on the ground beside it, scrawled in mud, was a single word: hungry. Sarah stood at the edge of the woods, her stomach churning. She knew what this was. She had read the stories. Agatha Blackwood didn't just die in Black Hollow, she had been buried alive. According to the records, the townspeople of 1783 had feared her, even in death. They had sealed her grave with iron chains and a silver cross. But the journal of the town's old minister, Reverend Hal, contained a chilling final entry. "We have bound her in iron and salt, but the devil does not die, and one day she will wake." Sarah's hands shook as she closed the book, because Agatha was awake, and Tommy was only the beginning. The nightmare started that night. Sarah dreamed of the grave, the green light pulsing like a heartbeat. In the dream, she knelt beside it, her fingers digging into the soil. Something slithered against her skin, something cold and wet and alive. She woke, screaming, her sheets soaked with sweat. And then she saw it. On her wrist, a mark, a single, jagged line, glowing, faintly green. She scrubbed at it, but it wouldn't fade. It burned, like a brand. Sarah knew what it meant. Agatha had marked her, and now she was coming. The next victim was Mrs. Driscoll, the old woman who lived alone at the edge of town. They found her in her rocking chair, her knitting still in her hands. Her skin was grey, her eyes wide and staring. Her mouth was frozen in a scream, and on the wall behind her, written in something dark and sticky, was a message. "I remember you." Sarah didn't understand, not until she found Reverend Hale's journal again. Mrs. Driscoll's family had been the ones to lead the mob against Agatha. Her great-great-grandfather had tied the noose. Agatha wasn't just killing, she was settling a score. Sarah knew she was running out of time. The mark on her wrist was spreading, the green veins creeping up her arm. She needed answers, and there was only one place left to look. The Black Hollow Church had been abandoned for decades, its pews rotting, its crucifix hanging crooked over the altar. but beneath it lay the real secret, the catacombs, where Reverend Halley had hidden his darkest texts. Sarah descended the crumbling stairs, her flashlight barely piercing the gloom. The air smelled of mildew, and something older, something wrong. At the far end of the chamber, she found it. A leather-bound journal, its pages filled with frantic Latin, and then, in the margins, a single sentence in English. "The only way to kill her is to burn the heart." Sarah's blood turned to ice, because Agatha's heart wasn't in her grave. It was missing. The Black Hollow dino was supposed to be safe. That's what everyone thought until the lights went out and the screaming started. By the time Sarah arrived, it was already too late. The windows were smashed inward, the booths were overturned, and the floor was slick. Sarah stepped inside, her boots sticking to the tiles. Her stomach lurched as she realized why. There were just pieces, and on the wall, written in blood so fresh it still dripped, "Tonight, I feast." Sarah's fingers closed around the heart in the hollow of the twisted tree. It pulsed in her grip like a living thing, warm, wet, and wrong. The moment she touched it, the forest fell silent. No wind, no crickets, just the thump, thump, thump of the witch's heart beating against her palm. A twig snapped behind her. Sarah spun, clutching the heart to her chest. The woods were dark, but the grave's green glow seeped between the trees like poison. And then she saw her. Agatha Blackwood stood at the edge of the clearing, her skeletal frame draped in tattered burial shrouds. Her skin was stretched too tight over sharp bones, her mouth a lipless gash filled with needle-thin teeth, but her eyes, they burned with the same sickly green light as the grave. "You stole from me," Agatha crooned, her voice like dead leaves scraping stone. "But you can't outrun the dead, little thief." Sarah stumbled back, but the tree roots seemed to coil around her ankles, holding her in place. The mark on her wrist flared, the green veins spreading up her arm like creeping ivy. Agatha lunged. Sarah barely dodged, rolling into the grave's open maw. The dirt was hot, breathing, as if the earth itself was alive beneath her. She fumbled for the matches in her pocket, her fingers slick with sweat and blood. Agatha loomed above her, blocking out the moon. "You think fire can hurt me?" she laughed, and the sound made Sarah's teeth ache. "I've burned before." Sarah struck the match. The flame flickered, then turned green. Agatha's grin faltered. Sarah threw the match onto the heart. The explosion of fire wasn't orange, but a searing, unnatural green, like the heart of a dying star. Agatha screamed, a sound so loud it split the air like thunder. Her skin blackened, peeling away in ribbons, revealing something worse underneath a writhing mass of worms, teeth, and glowing embers where her soul should have been. "You don't know what you've done!" Agatha shrieked, clawing at her own melting face. The grave trembled. The dirt walls collapsed inward, swallowing them both. Sarah's last thought before the darkness took her, the hearts still beating. They never found Sarah's body. The town blamed a gas leak, a wildfire, anything but the truth. But in Black Hollow Cemetery, a new grave appeared overnight, unmarked, untouched by time. If you stand too close, you'll hear it. A thump, thump, thump under the dirt. A girl's voice, whispering, "Help me." And if you're foolish enough to kneel, you'll see it, a faint green glow, pulsing like a heartbeat, waiting, hungry,